Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be talking about XRP, not about the here and the now and what's going to happen in the next kind of week or two. No, we're talking slightly longer term. We're going to be taking a look at what I think the likely potential is of a fantastic run to the upside in the next bullish cycle for XRP. So I'm going to be taking a look at a bigger picture here. So as I get into this, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and you will stay up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick. Link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free to join the Discord server. And, you know, it simply is the first place that we go to notify you of the ins and the outs of what is happening in the crypto space. So do yourself a favor, join, linked in the description below. Okay, let's talk XRP, and specifically let's jump on down into the charts. Okay, here we go. So here's XRP. This is actually paired up with USDT. We're on the daily chart and Binance is the data source. So in order for us to truly understand where the potential lies, we obviously have the fundamental analysis, which is fantastic. We obviously have things that are going on with the SEC versus Ripple and those things as well. Hopefully we'll see conclusion early 2023. But what we really want to talk about here is essentially the technical structure of XRP in terms of the price charts, and what does this actually tell us about kind of how people have been buying and selling XRP to give us that kind of future potential. So there's a couple of things that we need to do here. First of all, we need to ascertain what structure we had in 2021, or the lows of 2020 through to the highs of 2021, and the structure that we've seen so far in this bear market for XRP, because these things help us understand whether or not we're going to be going significantly higher or just kind of a mediocre pump to the upside. Now, I know we did not have a new all-time high up here in 2021, but we will potentially be looking at a new all-time high by the time this all plays out. So let's jump into this, right? It's actually a really simple one for XRP here, although the lawsuit with Ripple obviously is not, or the SEC and Ripple is not simple, but the structure here is actually quite straightforward and there isn't terribly too much complicated or complications with it. We're a three-wave structure, simple A, B, and C. Let me just change this on the degrees here. In fact, I don't think that I want to kind of make these a little bit. I'll give it in the immediate. There we go. So we can kind of see we're in an ABC structure to the upside, right? So we get a good idea as to kind of those levels. Now, internal count wise, there's nothing unusual about it. It looks like a 335 towards the end there, and you're kind of happy with that. Now, the bear market is a little bit more complicated, okay? Because the bear market, we've seen a few different things occur. Definitely people wanting to kind of jump in and out and take advantage of positions and things like that. But for the most part, we've actually seen a pretty interesting kind of set of structures. So the easiest way for me to articulate this is a W, X, Y, X, and I think a Z that is still in play here. Now, it is possible that we bottomed out in June lows. I think it's the June lows over here. So it is possible that we did that from, about 19th of June or whatever that date was. So that is possible that we did this low point. However, I still think that it's likely that we are to come on down just a fraction further. And my reasoning on this is basically we haven't got the structure that supports a really good run to the upside. Instead, we've got a very corrective one within this little X wave here. This means that we have that potential to move on down just one more time. And then I do think we are completely done. And this actually gives us a bit of a positive. We have some overlap with our W wave and this X wave over here. So there's nothing unusual in any of these structures. You can kind of really dissect all of these down to your heart's content, but essentially it does look like we have this last little leg, and then I think XRP is in a really, really strong position. Okay, so again, we'll see whether this evolves into something else, but I'm going to use this as an assumption to the low point for the bear market. Okay, and I don't know how long that's going to take to play out, but we're going to run into it nonetheless. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus in just on this area here for a second. Okay, so as always, we tend to find that you set these kind of higher highs and higher lows just before you actually end up in a bit of a break to the downside. Okay, let me just go ahead and draw this in here just so you kind of get an idea, right? So At the moment, we're going into this, setting up some higher highs and some higher lows, as you can kind of see right inside there. Now, typically when that happens, you break to the downside. Sometimes you just break up, get a fake high like this one, and then break on down. And when you see them the other way around, okay, so if I have this and we're coming down into lower highs, as you can kind of see just here, and I always keep selecting the wrong one. Let's go over to the correct tool there. Into these ones, which are lower lows, right? So lower highs and lower lows, we break upwards, okay? So we break upwards from these particular areas just here, as you can kind of see, and we break down from these particular ones. So we'll be breaking down here, okay? So we understand that there's potentially one more leg to the downside on the macro scale. Okay, and not saying minor, on the minor stuff, there might be more of a room to the upside, but we're specifically talking about the bigger macro picture here, and not the kind of smaller picture. Okay, so knowing that we have this potential to the downside, we want to ascertain how low is it going to go. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to take this low point, we're going to take this high point just here, and we're going to go ahead and move it onto this bounce. Now, if we do go higher, it will lift this target a little bit, but for now, it's showing us at about 23.7 cents approximately. Okay, so if we run on that, and I delete this off here for a second, 23.7, let's see if I can go ahead and get that anchored in right about here. Just pull that in. There we go. So basically one additional layer lower. So our June lows were 28.72, and I think the bear market low might be around that 23.7. Again, we could come down deeper, and we obviously have got the 17-cent ranges as well. These were the lows that were happening when 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 dropped the lawsuit on. I remember them well because I was able to buy 17 cent and it was fantastic. But essentially here we have this kind of three waves up and this WXYXZ move coming down lower. So, you know, from here, this gives us an idea that actually all of this might be a big corrective move that happens over multiple years of a big A wave down, wave up, B wave coming down. We'll take this low point as an estimate for now, okay, of that 23.7 just up there. And then we'll rally on up, okay? So the question becomes, how high does that tend to go? Well, we'll be using the fib tool to help us with this, okay? So we're going to grab this, and if I move it over to our estimated low point of 23.7 cent, then we get this high expectation of around here at $4.60. Now, $4.60 to some people might just feel a little bit hard done by. They believe that, you know, XRP is going to go to, you know, $589 or $10,000, or has that potential to move up significantly higher. And it does have potential. The lawsuit is a fundamental variable to this. That means that we might just completely surpass $4.60. I mean, in my mind, I still think that the amount of FOMO that's going to be driven here, you could probably quite easily see $10 or more. And specifically, I reckon anywhere really in this little sweet spot here. Okay, now this is a interesting range I want to kind of focus on because this is basically $9.26 through to about $28. Now, I do think the higher range is very unlikely unless there is a significant shrinkage of the supply. But this lower range, I think there's a significant amount of FOMO that could come in here. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we do reverse a little bit short of that $10 range. That's going to be a psychological barrier. Loads of people will want to be selling at those particular ranges. So between $4.60 and $9.26, that to me seems like fair play in that gap right there, and maybe even push it a little bit higher in the range. So really thinking about the lows up to those highs, does that really make you know, a sizable return on investment, and is it really worth it? Well, if we go to the $4.60 range, we're talking about 1,800%, so it's not the best, about 18x or so. Still pretty good, but you can get better gains elsewhere in my opinion. If we were to go up and push up into that next range, you're talking about 3,800%. So about just short of 40x there. And again, if we were to try to push up towards the $15 range, then you're talking about maybe 60x's. And if you are able to really get a good run, then you're talking about over 100 or so. But I don't think that's realistic, at least not with the way that the state of play is right now. Of course, there are other fundamental things, and you know that's something that we have to kind of consider outside of the charts. The charts are only telling us the existing players in the space, and it's not really telling us about, you know, future plans and things like that. that. So there's a few things to kind of consider there, but for me, it does look like we have this kind of sweet spot somewhere between $4.60 and $9.26 as a fair play game, where, you know, if we invest down here, we have a good run to the upside, and we don't know how quickly that's going to be. All of that there could happen just on the back of the lawsuit, and then we could go back down in a bear market. It doesn't mean we have to go back down any lower, but the bear market continues, and then we actually get another bull run after the fact, right? And that could also be very, very lucrative for XRP. But there's so many different variables. Essentially, when it comes to price movement, the main thing that we're focusing in on is going to be supply and demand. In order for the price to move up significantly, we need to see a shrinkage of the supply, and we need to see an increase in the demand. I think the lawsuit will bring the demand coming in, but what is going to be the variable that shrinks the supply? So we need to see a significant shrinkage of that supply to really push the price up quite high in this price chart. So just kind of bear those things in mind. Hopefully this is helpful to a degree. It gives you a bit of an idea under current structures that have been emerging here, how high potentially we could end up going in this next kind of cycle. Whether that is 3 months, 6 months, we don't know. But, you know, one of the things that I am pretty confident on is that we are likely to see a pretty significant surge on the closure of the Ripple versus SEC, or the SEC versus Ripple, as I should say, lawsuit. Once that comes to conclusion, I think we're going to see a pretty decent bump in the price. The only question is whether or not that demand is going to be outpaced by the supply, as in there's a load of sellers really just trying to get out of XRP as fast as they can. So if you found it useful, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, stay up to date with everything, and make sure you join us in Discord. It is, as I said, the centralized hub of everything that we do. It's the first place we go to notify you of changes in the crypto space, so well worth checking it out, guys. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.